who I am, it is not because I don't know who I am. I know who I am. You know, it is often a case of where you look at things in a different light than the world sees you. Have you often thought of how you look at things can sometimes shed or have a different perspective than the way the whole world sees things? We're all different in many ways. The way we see things sometimes can be different from the way other people will see things. So are we of the cognitive perception that we can see things differently than the way others see things? What I'm basically referring to is our viewpoint, how we understand things, how we comprehend things, and how we diverge what we comprehend, meaning how we are able to explain what we know. Some people are of the mindset that they can easily expound, meaning they can say what they feel they know, even when they don't know what they are saying. I don't know if you understand me. You know how some people can have uninformed opinion about things? They can use that uninformed opinion to spread false information about things they don't know that they think they know. If you are in that category, perhaps your best aspect in life is to often educate yourself about things so that way when you say things, you would already know what you're talking about. Most people have this uninformed opinion about things. They say things with full confidence, and then when you dig into what they're saying, you find that what they're saying is full of holes, meaning they are full of falsehood lies, meaning what they are saying actually do not have a basis for facts. You know, to know, you have to first brace yourself for full knowledge, meaning try to make yourself understand what you want to understand, meaning try to know what you want to know. That way, when you say what you think you know, you will say it with full confidence. I've seen so many people that would just say things and they say so emphatically, and you start wondering, do they really know what they're talking about? And then you say to yourself, perhaps they do. And they say it so convincingly. And if you are not careful, you can buy into those unbaked theories or uninformed opinion, or should I say, lies. So always kind of keep your mind open, especially when you have someone that is giving an opinion that is uninformed. If someone is telling you about what you know, what you already know, you've read about it, you've researched it, you know what you know, but they are telling you something totally different about what you know, and what they are saying is totally different from what you know. And then you start wondering, do I have the wrong information, or is this just a case of one trying to mislead me with misinformation? If that hasn't happened to you, I can understand. But that often happens to me. When that happens to me, I always try to maintain silence. You know, the old cliche, the old saying that silence is the best answer to a fool come to play here, because when someone is saying what he or she doesn't know, and you know what he or she is talking about is totally fabricated or uninformed or non-existent, what do? You just maintain silence. Silence sometimes can portray knowledge, understanding, or acceptance, or an audience, or uninterested audience, meaning an audience that is barely listening to that uninformed opinion or not listening at all. You can present your ears to hear things that you want to politely stand for, but not listening. If someone is saying something and you don't want to be rude and to be politically correct with your action, you just stay there and listen, even though you know that person is saying what he or she doesn't know or just polishing an uninformed theory, meaning a theory that has no basis in scientific research or that has no foundation in any in any knowledge sphere. So I guess what I'm basically trying to say, you have to understand your self-worth. You have to understand who you are, what you are, to be able to know when someone is feeding you with stories that are uninformed. It's just like the assassination of John Kennedy, for example. There are so many theories about the assassination when the real truth stands written by those who witnessed it. But there are theories. There is the theory that John F. Kennedy was assassinated by, well, by the mob or by those the father owed money to, or by those that didn't agree with his policies. That Oswald had so many. There are so many theories that you will begin to wonder: did the mob meaning the mafia, actually assassinated John F. Kennedy? Well, we don't know. Or a lot of people will say Lyndon Johnson may have had a hand in his assassination. Is that really true? Some people will say Lyndon Johnson wanted to become president so bad that he probably had a hand in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Is that true? We don't know, but those are theories. But there are those who are peddling so many theories out there that when you listen, you cringe. You say, really? Is that really true? But those who witnessed it, who saw it firsthand, would be quick to say, I don't think so. It may have just been a case of an assassination of a president. There are people out there that pride themselves in taking arms to assassinate a president. They feel that could make themselves someone that could be written about, that could enter into some records of notoriety, or they can become famous and infamous. But stories abound of people that are copycats or they want to be pace setters in notoriety, meaning they want to do things that will set them apart. Maybe all their lives they have been insignificant. They haven't done anything in their lives that really put them in the spotlight. Or all their lives they've lived a life that has put them in the shadows of life, and they feel they have to make a mark. They have to leave some kind of footprint in the sands of time. And to them, the only way to do that is to do whatever it would take to put themselves in that spotlight. Even if that includes their end in the process, meaning their ultimate demise. Some people do not care what happened to them eventually. They care about what happens to their name, how they are written about, talked about, and so forth. See, the same can be said of 9/11. We all witnessed those who are old enough witnessed 9/11. We all know what happened 9/11. Those hijackers, terrorists hijacked planes. A lot of people will say it was orchestrated by the U.S. government, by Bush 43 and his so-called, cohorts. A lot of people will say the Wahhabis from Saudi Arabia and those who were sympathetic to the Palestinian cause may have orchestrated it to raise awareness about what goes on in Palestine. A lot of people will say, well, these are friends of Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden orchestrated it in order to prove to the U.S. that he was independent of what the CIA had intended for him to be. A long time ago, Very long time ago, the CIA had used Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. Yes, to fight against the Soviet, who were at that time, running things in Afghanistan. So Osama bin Laden was once upon a time an informant or an operative of the CIA. Yes, paid, sponsored by the CIA. But it came a time when Osama bin Laden went rogue, wasn't doing things that he was supposed to do on behalf of the CIA or the US government. So when the Soviet left Afghanistan, Osama bin Laden, according to reports, became his own person, formed Al Qaeda, and became a lone wolf that was fighting against, the big powers or the powers that be for those who were, according to him, less privileged, namely those in the Palestine whose homeland, according to history, were occupied by Israelis or taken over by the Israelis. You see how that goes. So the theory goes, has arm and a leg, had grown wings, so much so that people begin to believe that, hey, so could it be that Osama bin Laden fought his own war against the US government by recruiting those who hijacked planes to knock down the World Trade Center and try to attack the Pentagon? Okay, there are so many theories. There is a theory that never took place. There are those that will swear to you that it never took place, that was just a conspiracy theory. There are so many conspiracy theories. Again, what we're talking about is how someone can use big theories, meaning uninformed theories, to try to convince others. Earlier, we've talked about John F. Kennedy, how his assassination has created so many theories, so many conspiracy theories, and also we've talked about the case of 9/11. So be that as it may be, we all know that when people are discussing things, discussing affairs, or matters that are important of national affairs, or global affairs, or global importance, they tend to look at a different lens, quite different than the lens of those who really know. There is the uninformed lens and there is the informed lens. Sometimes the informed lens can triumph over the uninformed lens, meaning those who think they know can sometimes be in the minority against those that really know. Does that make sense? Meaning if I know that this tie here is black, and I know what materials led to its formation, and you're telling me, oh no, this tie here is not black. It's not black. If I scrape it, it will turn white. Or that under a different light, it turns white. When I know that this tie is black, and I know I purchased it black, you see, what I know and what you know might be different. But if you're trying to convince me otherwise about something that I already know, and trying to make it look like I don't know what I know, that you think you know what I don't know, then we have a lot of conflict of understanding. Meaning we don't have a clear meeting of the minds. Meaning you are trying to convince me to believe something that is totally unrealistic, that is totally fabricated. Yeah. So that brings us to our self-worth. If you know what your self-worth, and you know what you are, what you're capable of, or what you do know, and you know your level of intelligence or what you know, you tend to maintain silence. Because the best way to know, to understand other people's feelings, or to understand others that don't know what they know, or don't know what they don't know, is to be quiet, listen. By listening, you can learn a lot of things. You can learn how really crazy people can get with their ideas or with their own stupidity, you can learn to see how really far disoriented some people are. They are so disoriented with their own understanding that they actually believe what they don't know. And because they believe what they don't know, they tend to think they have a superior knowledge of what they don't know than someone that really knows. There it is. If I know what I know, and what I know that I know is based on facts, researched, proven facts, and you come to me with your own baked theories that is totally unfounded. What should I do? How should I approach the issue? Should I say, okay, I beg your pardon? Should I say, excuse me, I don't think you know what you're talking about? Or should I argue? When you stoop low to argue about something that you already know is unfounded, then you begin to put yourself in the category of the same person, of the person you think doesn't know. Because if you know, you don't need to argue. You don't need to argue. Because if you're trying to make somebody see a viewpoint that they don't want to see, that they are in denial of seeing, you are wasting your breath and wasting your time. Would you want to waste your time trying to make someone understand what they don't want to understand? That's the big question, the $1,000,000 question. Trying to convince someone to understand what they are adamant understanding, what they don't want to understand, what they've closed their mind to. It's like trying to convince a fool to see the wisdom of something. If somebody tells me that this is what it is, and I know it is not what the person say it is, then I don't need to argue the point because I already know. If I know, what should I do? A smart person would just be reticent, meaning be quiet and let the fool display his or her ignorance. It is awful smart to let someone display their ignorance. When the person displays their ignorance, you can learn from somebody's ignorance. You can learn from somebody's ignorance. That way you can really understand how far the human brains can be twisted. Now, how far can a human brain be twisted? It can be twisted with misinformation, with serious misinformation. When someone takes it upon him or herself to believe nonsense, things that don't exist. Yeah. So I'm of the opinion that I like to know what I know, and I like to stick to what I know. I will not allow anyone to convince me otherwise because I know what I know. Yeah, you know who you are. Shakespeare once said wisely in one of his books that to thyself, be true. Be true to yourself. Because when you are true to yourself, you begin to understand yourself. When you lie to yourself and you are in denial about what you know or don't know, then you are fooling yourself. You can fool yourself before you fool others. Because if you fool yourself to believe what you believe, and then you try to fool others, it depends on the audience or who is listening. Because the person that may be listening to you may already know that you are saying what you don't know. And what would that person do? The person will just listen and smile inwardly. How does a person smile inwardly? You want to know? You smile inwardly by maintaining a quiet and silent, what I call mild grin. A grin that is almost, almost not, almost, almost, almost noticeable. When I say almost noticeable, that means hardly noticeable. You see, that is the way of existence. To live a quiet life, a peaceful life, first you have to find peace within your own self. It's so easy to find peace. The Bible says, he who finds peace finds life. If you find peace in your life, you have found life. Because through peace in your life, you can begin to discern good, bad, and ugly. You can begin to differentiate good and bad. And you can begin to have a different understanding about issues, about things. That means things that used to make you angry will no longer make you angry because you have attained that sense of enlightenment, that personal enlightenment that has created a real home front of peacefulness for you. I call it home front of peacefulness, meaning you are now at a level that is beyond any a level that is actually foolproof. Foolproof in the sense that it is going to be always difficult for anyone to abuse your sensibilities or to take advantage of your sensibilities. I read somewhere in the Bible the other day that when you get angry, that you lose some self-worth when you get angry. But again, when you think hard about that, you say, really, when you get angry, you lose some elements of your self-worth. Is it really true? Even God himself got angry, will get angry. Does that mean God will look? No, I won't even dare utter those words. Because it's not true. We're all human beings. When pushed, we can get angry. But how we control our anger becomes an aspect of our level of enlightenment, personal enlightenment. Our personal enlightenment. Hey, let's continue this conversation tomorrow. I'd like to talk again with you tomorrow. Have a great night, and I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. And if you like this topic, please follow us, subscribe, like what you do, even do whatever makes you happy to acknowledge that you enjoyed today's topic. Have a great night, and may yours never lack for anything. Peace.